Okay, everybody, we're starting a new week here. It's Monday for us. Blake McKenzie joins me from Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. And though we're a couple of crazy Canadians here, we love America. We got roots south of the border, both of us, and we love the U.S. And I, in particular, I think I'm more enamored of Trump than Blake is, but, I have been for a long time. Watching Trump for a long time, I was very dispassionate about this guy. I didn't care about him. He was a big mouth on The Apprentice, and he did the guest spot in Home Alone and that kind of thing. And he'd show up on Saturday Night Live occasionally. And I knew he was a realtor, and that was about it. And a big brash guy. That was it. Had no interest in him. But when he announced his presidency, and I was watching Stephen Colbert in those days, Colbert used to be funny as hell. Anyway, and so I'm watching all that, and then the way the world turned, like the whole thing, the machine activated against him, and then it caused me from not looking at the guy to looking at him, and I go, wait a sec, I kind of agree with this guy. So it's been a real, what a long, strange trip it's been as Grateful Dead in tone. Big story today, Biden's Autopen. Let's break it down. A lot of people are saying a lot of things. I guess the first link to break up, we got my lovely wife, Sue, in the background here to help us out, as she does for most episodes, simply titled Autopen. So let's see what happened. We'll break it down because it's kind of nuanced. What we're dealing with here, I'll tell you before I bring it up, that is the New York Times story. And what they are doing, it's called getting ahead of the story. They know that Trump's DOJ, FBI, and all that it entails are microscoping this whole thing. They are looking in on it, okay? They're checking out what the hell went on with these pardons that Biden did in the last minutes, seeming, of his tenure as president of the United States. So once Sue's got that, I'll bring it up. Okay, here we go. So, and there's so many people commenting on this. I wanted to get a clip here that kind of put in perspective, and I've got two clips on this. I'm going to turn it over to Blake for his take. Biden's White House staff and lawyers are in deep trouble for their Autopen nonsense. That's the only conclusion you can come to after reading between the lines, and that's what you have to do. Read between the lines. Blake says this a lot on the program. Read between the lines of this ridiculous New York Times attempt to defend the unprecedented use of the Autopen. Here's a few nuggets. There is no direct contemporaneous evidence that Biden authorized any of the last-minute Autopen pardons. They are just there, but there's no evidence that Biden was writing that. All New York Times provides is claims from staff that he likely told them that the Autopen was okay and stuff. Biden staff admitted Biden did not authorize clemency grants and pardons for multiple named individuals. It's critical to this. Biden staff admitted to changing documents. Biden allegedly authorized and signed them with the Autopen without getting the changes approved. One of the Kavanaugh rape hoaxer, Christine Blasey Ford's attorneys, works for one of the major D.C. law firms providing, quote, free legal services to Biden staffers. After spending years telling us how mentally fit and competent Biden was, New York Times dropped this gem in its story, age-related cognitive decline is a spectrum. You can be this retarded, you can be this a little less retarded. What a far cry that is from the propaganda being fed to us a year ago about Biden's mental acuity. Sharp as a tack was sharp as a tack. Biden's top White House lawyer quit due to all the Hunter Biden shenanigans, including the ridiculous pardon he received. So I'll leave that there. We won't go into the actual thing, clemency. That's the comment. I got another one to bring up, and I'll remove this one here. And then we'll get one more here, kind of following on the heels of that. The routine Autopen, the next step, the routine Autopen. All right, let's take a look at the routine Autopen. This is from Alex Thompson. Alex writes, Biden did not individually approve these. Now we're getting the nitty gritties of it. Biden did not individually approve each name for the categorical pardons. Rather than ask Biden to keep signing revised versions, his staff waited. Then they ran the final version through the Autopen which they saw as, quote, routine. And here's the quote from the New York Times article. Biden did not individually approve each name for the categorical pardons that applied to large numbers of people. He and the aides confirmed. Rather, after extensive discussion of different possible criteria, he signed off on the standards he wanted to be used to determine which convicts would qualify for a reduction in sentence. Even after Biden made that decision, one former aide said, the Bureau of Prisons kept providing additional information about specific inmates, resulting in small, ongoing, I will add, changes to the list. Rather than ask Biden to keep signing revised versions, his staff waited, then ran the final version through the Autopen, which they saw as, quote, a routine procedure, the aide said. Problematic. Blake, go ahead.
Well, I mean, as somebody who has seen the use of Autopen in its legitimate form, such as filling out Christmas cards for thousands of people or millions of people, that would be an efficient use of a printer or an Autopen. But these are official documents that the person making the decision, being the president in this case, has to be 100% aware of what they're signing. Otherwise, I think this is a legitimate argument. I think we said that before. If they're not even there, that's maybe the bigger question. Was the president even in the room when these were being?
No, he wasn't.
He wasn't not even in here, but even if he was physically,
he wasn't physically there. He left.
Yeah.
They went. It's all in the article. You can read it yourself.
Yeah.
New York Times, if you want to subscribe to that nonsense, that dribble.
Yeah.
They are trying to get ahead of the story. Biden left at 10 o'clock. He kept everybody, apparently the story, the way they're, this is spun. Okay. Everything you're reading here is spun. This is New York Times. So apparently Biden, mentally as sharp as ever, keeps his team going till 10 o'clock. Then he goes out. James Farley, not only can you not blanket pardon people, but Biden went a step further and pardoned people for whom there were no charges laid. So the whole J6 committee, nobody had charged the J6 committee with anything at that time.
So there was nothing to pardon. Exactly.
So and James, and he also Fausti, Mr. Health Crisis 2020.
All that does is state that there was an actual act that was illegal to protect. And that's that by doing that. And even if he's not doing it and he wasn't, the people who were signing that were illegally signing those. And that's, I think, where you get the situation. But what else was there besides pardons? Let's go. How far back has this been going on? Because, I mean, what if who was doing an act, say, what if there was a mission that had to be done by special forces and they took some people out?
Yeah. Like
what if he's not aware of it?
How about Mar-a-Lago?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
That's right, Trump.
Yeah, well, right.
I'm not here. I'm out playing with my marbles. What's left of my collection?
That's right.
And it's
you're having some porridge, right?
Yeah. Well, Trump was pretty, Trump came out and he posted, we don't use tweet no more, Blake. You're got to train yourself. We used to tweet when Twitter was owned by the Democrats, but now it's Elon's got it. So we say we're posting.
So we call a post, X post.
Yeah. So he goes and posts. Trump posts out. In fact, he actually posted. He truthed. You can say that. It was over on Truth Social. And he said, I know Biden. He was a good guy. I like him. He's friendly. Trump plays the game.
Yeah.
And then he goes, he wouldn't, but he's doing stuff that he didn't even believe in. He's signing off on a bunch of shit he told me he doesn't even believe in. He told the American people he doesn't believe in, this, that, and the other thing. So big trouble. We already knew it was being scrutinized. I call this the New York Times trying to do some deflection, running some interference, getting ahead of the story because they know hell's a popping. John Solomon, reporting from the Hill, is suggesting, actually he was the Hill. He's on his own now. He's got his own media company. But John Solomon saying within the next 2 weeks, and this clock is already rolling, within the next 10 days, and that was like 4 days ago, there's going to be some big news coming out, some really big news.
So I think I just so James' point there. I mean, if 5 people need to sign off on Autopen, I don't know if the Autopen can have other people use it if it's a presidential executive order. I don't think 5 other people can Autopen at all. I think he has to be there physically to sign it.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's even possible. That would be a legal question, but that's a good point. Regardless, I think Biden, as I said, I think he's going to come down in history as probably the most violated elder abuse president in history, because the fact was he did not have control of himself. He couldn't even control himself standing up to run to the bathroom. So I think the point is that they had full control. They had a puppet in there that was basically cognitively declined so bad that he couldn't even string together a sentence without being shot up with some kind of I don't know what they were probably giving him to wake him up.
Yeah, they were. I mean, he was taking medication, probably some anti-dementia type medication.
That or to blast enough of a.
Well, here's the deal. Right now, related to this, Blake, we got his doctor. They wanted to subpoena the guy to check into this whole question. There's the Intel committee is doing kind of some examination of what's going on with this guy. What he knew, what didn't he know, and when didn't he not know what he thought he might have known? And the doctors come in, and before anything, we're in a minute, Fifth Amendment, Fifth Amendment. Yeah, so this guy's begging off on it. Now, I am hearing, and what I know, I'm hearing reports that they're saying, hey, just give the guy immunity, give him complete immunity, say you're free, but we want you to talk. We want you to know what you know. So you can say whatever the fuck you want. You're free from any criminal.
Well, and I think an important point here is that if the lefties come out and say, well, it's, doctor, patient privilege, that's not for the public to know. It's those discussions. Well, they said they went after lawyers that were on Trump's side and said that client privilege didn't exist for lawyers either. So what's fair is fair, if they try and point that out, because I've seen some people try and state that.
I like what Sue's done here. This is Catherine Herridge, late of ABC News. She was formerly with, who else was she? Was with Fox or CNN? And then John Solomon. So these here, John Solomon, Catherine Herridge, they get my seal of approval if you want to follow a couple of really good journalists around. They don't generally snap at some of the hype that's going on. Very interesting with MAGA and the whole Epstein list thing. Again, MAGA remains divided. Candace Owens coming out with some kind of comment, but Brian Cates slapped her down and said, because she's saying, this is all going on. And he goes, I don't know. She goes, she's laughing, mocking, because Trump goes, well, Obama may have had something to do with that Epstein list. And then Cates just simply asked, well, what level of intel classification do you own? Because Trump's got it all. He can look at any fucking thing he wants.
No way Obama had anything to do with making an Epstein list.
Yeah, and maybe he went in with his own Autopen and decided to add it. The other thing about the Autopen, Blake, did you hear about this? Apparently, the Autopen actually mimics Jill Biden's handwriting, not Joe's.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Huh.
So that's
he couldn't even write his own signature. Well, they could have copied his signature.
No, apparently they copied Jill's.
Jill wrote it, and then they copied it because the B's are done the way Jill writes.
Yeah, people have done already some, so they show the B in Biden.
It's pretty easy to figure out.
Yeah, but Joe doesn't do his write that B in that style. She does.
Yeah.
Well. One of those things that's going to blow up even further. There's this is the thing, we're looking at all of these fronts hitting at once. That
it's a perfect storm, isn't it?
Well, it is, and I think to Trump's credit on this, with regards to the Epstein files, is that there is fires all over the place he's going after. It's not just one. Like Epstein's a huge one. It is probably maybe one of the single biggest one, because it's trust in the system and it's a justice question. But there is other issues all burning at the same time that he's going after, including I won't. I guess we're not allowed to say it on YouTube, but he's looking into investigating elections. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
And that's I think going to be a big one once that pops,
That
because
is big, and we're hearing good things about this. Like Kash Patel is into that. We know that Kash Patel's investigating that because Trump said he is, and we know also Dan Bongino's investigating that, and presumably Pam Bondi as well.
Well, I think people need to understand why Dan Bongino got into this. He didn't get into it to be purely Epstein. His goal, I can tell you right now, because I listened to Bongino, I was listening to him all the time before he changed. He's very much about reforming the FBI, period. So it is an internal, they are going to clean that, the FBI up to be an honest broker and get them out of the political mess that they've been completely toxically controlled by bad forces within government. And we're talking going back to their foundation with J. Edgar Hoover. And before that, they were a private entity called Pinkertons. So I think, we need to look at what the goal here is. The goal is to clean up the FBI and make the FBI follow laws, not the edicts of ruling governments.
Yeah, I think the other thing going on right now is where the people are less than happy with Congress. Congress has got to pick up their game. Certainly, we need to see. Okay, so you guys got your investigation. You're trying to subpoena Biden's doctor. You're trying to take a look at the guy's mental acuity or lack thereof during his presidential term. This is a one-term president, Biden. He was good for one. And unlike Trump, he ain't coming back. There's no coming back from this for this idiot. But what's interesting, we need a special counsel on this. There's a real special counsel, not the circus that Mueller ran, which is all based now.
And Jeff Sessions and all those guys.
We need real justice. The people, especially MAGA, are crying for it, man. We want to say, not the little peanuts taken in, this, that, and the other thing. There's good things happening. Bongino and Kash have both been getting lambasted out on social media. They'll come out with a pronouncement saying, oh, we got this bad actor. We 50 arrests. We rescuing children. They've been doing a lot of that. They've been busting up child trafficking, kids. All this sort of thing. Yeah. 10,000 kids they've found. Yeah. I mean, this is not small potatoes. But because Epstein is in some ways a shiny bauble, it's really captured the imagination. The left weren't wanting to deal with it at all because Hillary Clinton, the Clintons were always associated with it. Yeah, and it's always been the right that have been doing it. But now that Trump's administration seems not to have any focus on this, kind of putting it on the back burner and citing it as a distraction on some level. So we will have to wait and see. We know there's something there.
Well, we know that, and I mean, there was something that just came out, and I don't know the authenticity of it, but apparently Maxwell's came out over the last couple of days and stated that she's willing to testify to Congress on the whole thing. So that's probably, let's do that. There's a great idea. Get her out front of the public, talk about it all, and be quizzed by everybody involved, because I think that would help bring some of this to light from her knowledge.
Yeah, even Cat Turd, who's Trump's biggest, most loyal supporter, he says Pam Bondi has got to do a press conference. It's not an option. She's way overdue for doing it. She's got to come out and have a full-on press conference,
for everybody, not just for Fox News. Thank you.
No, yeah, for the world. Yeah. No, you're absolutely right about that as well. She's been criticized for
no
that.
Softballs. She's got to get it hard. Yeah.
So obviously, this is a story you and I are going to keep our eyes on. Here's another story that the left. Oh, before I do that, I better talk to my friend Herc. Herc, I timed you out. If you just come in with ad hominem attacks on the president, I'll just time you out for bullshit like that. If you have a legitimate comment with some substance behind it other than Orange Man bad, then I'll be happy to talk and engage with you. But when it's just, Trump's an idiot or he's a poo-poo pants or something, fuck off. Okay. Okay. Can you get Smelly Lied? I just love this. Smelly Lied, Blake. Now, this is another story. You know, we know that the shooter, we just passed the miraculous anniversary of Trump's survival at Butler, Pennsylvania. Now, remember, but the shooter, the actual shooter, they cleaned it up. They cremated the guy within about 4 days. You know, everything disappeared on that kid. We still don't know very little we know about that incident. You know, it's one of these things. Remember this fucker? Smelly Lied. Okay, there he is. Looks a bit like my old friend Captain Spaulding. Anyway, just in, Vance Balter, the man accused of assassinating a Minnesota lawmaker and her husband, says the murderers had nothing to do with Trump or abortion, but admits there's a deeper story that goes back 24 months. He claims a lot of information will come out in the future if the government ever lets it get out. Why the silence? Why the secrecy? You better believe the Democrats want this to disappear fast, especially who. But it's not going away. The American people deserve the truth. Remember this story? It is gone. So the guy apparently has come out and said it had nothing to do with Trump or even pro-life issues. Wow. This is a big deal. So that's another black eye on the Democrats. We just had another. And I'm going to say the guy's a Democrat. I'm going to go out. I'm going to say he's an alleged Democrat. He's a, what do you call it? Islamic convert. He went and shot up a church in Kentucky, killed 2 women. You fuck. Can't stand these people. The left are extremely violent. They need to be arrested and brought to face justice. You know, we aren't the ones. A lot of MAGA, we're not happy with Elon Musk, but we aren't fucking blowing up Teslas. We aren't scratching innocent people's cars out in the street because we see it's a Tesla, and we're so driven through our leftist commie fuck mindset that we got to go damage somebody else's property. Up the keister with it all. So Dem violence is there. Blake, so what do you think about this? The guy saying that it had nothing to do with Trump, had nothing to do with questions around.
Well, I mean, a lot of the rumors that have been circling around it, apparently from the statements from this character, and was apparently planned, to help Walz get a seat. I mean, this was a kind of bizarro world that we're talking about.
Yeah,
because he had resigned to run, right? I think that was the key.
And according to sure, he's a nut. We all know, we all granted the guy's insane. But the point is, he's saying that is there any truth to it? He's saying Tim Walz told me to go, 86, to use a less vernacular, 86, Klobuchar. So.
Yeah. I mean, was it real? Who knows? Until they get the guy in court, and he could be just a lunatic trying to get attention, or he could actually be legitimately tied to a plan. But he seemed to be planned out. I mean, he had, and his girlfriend was involved, or was his wife? I can't recall if it's wife or girlfriend, but regardless.
Apparently it's the wife,
The wife, with passports, they had everything ready to go to get out of Dodge, and this was all planned. So who knows? Again, it's one of the many stories all tied to Democrats. It's like you don't hear this around Republicans as problems like this. It's always seems to swirl around the Democratic Party.
Well, this is it's the violence. It's ongoing.
People disappearing since Vince Foster, right? I mean, this goes way back to the Clinton era, where we can even talk Lyndon Johnson. I mean, for crying out loud, JFK. Why are the Democrats killing each other?
Are you aware of the story of Lyndon B. Johnson grabbing Lester B. Pearson, the Canadian Prime Minister, little guy, and he lifted him up off the ground at the White House. I think it was at Camp David, actually, and just held him by the lapels and said, "Get your fucking act together, get in line and do what I tell you."
So your chick says the wrong link. It just goes right back to Autopen.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's okay. Okay, so I got the wrong link for that. Okay, hang on. Oh, I want that one so fucking bad. Okay, it's climate change MP. Climate MP.
Here we go.
Yeah, did you see that one? Okay, here she is. Okay, I don't know which one I got, but
They're all the same. They all sound the same. So it's
Yeah,
probably a liberal.
yeah. So I apologize. I gave her the wrong link on this. I'll bring it up myself.
Oh no, she's NDP, formerly NDP member from Victoria.
Okay, from Victoria, British Columbia. Holy smokes, Blake, our hometown.
Yeah, she is an airhead of airheads.
Well, look, I mean, it's hard.
Nice stop. Perfect photo. Perfect.
Yeah, this is absolutely fucking insane. I got to tell you, sometimes this is the kind of thing that makes me question whether women should ever have been given the vote. But let's read it. Canadian MP from Victoria, British Columbia, Laura Collins, climate emergencies are not gender neutral. I had no idea. The degradation of ecosystems disproportionately impacts women and girls, and I am wildly emotional. Well, maybe you should get out of politics. We need to think about the intersection of gender and the climate crisis. All right, retard, take it away here. Let's see how she goes.
I want to start off by addressing one of the comments that was made by the witnesses around climate hysterics. Hysteria, it refers to something that is wildly emotional. It comes from the Greek word womb, of the womb. It is used in ancient Greek to refer to things associated with women. And I hope you'll forgive me if I get emotional. Climate emergencies are not gender neutral. The degradation of ecosystems disproportionately impacts women and girls. And I am wildly emotional. This is the existential crisis of our time. And to hear that we're asking for high ambition is climate hysteria, that makes me...
Okay, she is... All right, virus. Hold on, she's clearly hysterical. All right, speaking of hysterics, Brian Turner's joined us. No problem with the Republicans. Really, welcome to Blake and Rachel's Rubdown Hour. Did your mom write that for you, you retard? Come on, Brian Turner, up your game, man. No, I mean, like, we're talking about the whole idea with the murderings, okay? Yeah. With the murderings. You fuckers that run around shooting people. You know, your Palestinian convert went around and just shot up a church in Kentucky. You got, what the fuck was going on with Nancy Pelosi's husband and then the guy they're in their tidy whities with hammers? Yeah. I don't know. It's at your house, not ours, motherfucker. Anyway, holy smokes. Wait till Rachel finds out about DocuSign. Holy smokes, DocuSign. Attaboy, Biden. Sharp as a tack, you fucking clown. All right, Blake, what do you think of this lady? My feeling is I think the whole idea of suffragettes, the emancipation of the vote, was probably a wrong idea in hindsight. And that study after study has shown that so often women vote with their emotions. Excuse me, I'm emotional. She's thinking emotionally. Well, get rid of your emotion, baby, and let's look at this thing clinically. Is there a correlation or not? You're saying that climate change affects chicks more than guys? Like, what the fuck?
And probably the alphabet gang group too. I mean, do you feel affected as a tranny from these changes?
Just absolutely fucking insane. So what do you think? What do you think about the larger issue? What do you think about the suffragette? Do you think women should have had the vote? It's controversial.
Well, I don't know, but there is a counter argument. It's Margaret Thatcher, right? Margaret Thatcher's a great counter argument to the lunacy.
Okay, what about maybe postmenopausal women should be the one?
Well, I think the problem here is it's not so much the vote of women, it's the era that we're in, where in the last 20, 30 years, these are the women that have been raised under this lunacy within our academic circles. And this is what's churned out. Yeah. She is a poster child, Laura Collins, of the entitled left, wealthy, champagne socialist families that they come out, stick their kids in school. They come out, I want to be poli-sci expert. So they get their poli-sci degree. They go into politics right away under the NDP. See my banners behind me? They're a freaking dumpster fire because that's what she is. But that's what those people are like at our colleges. And that's what you're seeing. They go, I want to be a council member. She went and became a Victoria councillor just because the NDP will just vote whatever sheep they put up there for them. And they don't care. You could run a cat and say it's an NDP in some of these cities, and the cat would get elected. The problem is there's no substance. She stepped down within 6 months of being elected to run as a federal NDP candidate. So selfishly gets put into that position in a loser political party federally, never will win power. And that's what she has become. I mean, and then she just lost. She just lost to a Liberal. A Liberal has won Victoria for the first time since David Anderson.
Oh, praise God. I mean, even that's saying, I mean, that's not great, but you know.
You get far left to moderately left, right?
Thank God for small victories, right? Like,
but I mean, it's crazy, but this is how they talk to each other, and they're haughty in their eyes. They're kind of like, they flip their hair and they get, there's something weird about their mannerisms. I don't know.
The left are a bunch of retards. Now, listen, here's something else.
But they all have that same look. That's the problem. There's kind of a look. It's almost a spirit about them that is, I mean, I won't call it Antichrist, but there's a spirit about them that's fucked up.
Okay, I'll call it Antichrist for you. But you know what I'm saying? They all get the big googly eyes. Have you seen those memes where they show the eye and they're all like, googly eyed?
When they get into the vocal fry, that drives me crazy.
Oh, vocal fry. Holy smokes. I'm 18. Okay, anyway, here we go. Blake, let's see. What's our next one? Oh, this is a good one. Sue, the next one I'd like to get is, hopefully I got the right one. I've entitled this one CBC Commies. Holy smokes, Chris Hill is greater than Darren, who's greater than Blake. Kirk, behave yourself. What the hell? I wish I had the same look as Blake. Well, Loki, if you work at it, you might be fortunate enough to. Okay? You just might be lucky enough to. Holy fuck. It's just great. We got our liberal heroes in here. All right. So were you able to get that one? Did you? I get it right?
CBC Commies.
All right. CBC Commies. This little bit of dialogue is absolutely fucking disgusting. But you know what, Blake? I noticed the same kind of mental gymnastics that went on with the state when there was that little disease we had about 4 years ago. Listen to the language about the substitute American for people without a certain medical procedure. All right. Americans are the people that didn't go in and be patriotically supporting the medical procedure. I'll read the comment and then we'll play the clip. I've never seen this in my lifetime. CBC is now pushing propaganda to turn Canada against their own family in the States. Canada love American people, always have. The problems are at the top, not between people. This is hard to watch. Okay, let's hear these fuckers and see what they're trying to tell us.
Let's talk about the subject of the second hour, because it's odd. We're in this rocky relationship as a nation with the United States, our friends, our neighbors, and our family members who live in the U.S. and colleagues. It's become so difficult in terms of handling the conversations we're having delicately. So talk to us about that and how you're planning on exploring that issue next hour.
Yeah, so, some time ago, before this trade war, we did a version of the topic that we're doing in the second hour, asking people about their relationships with people in the United States. And we learned a couple of things. First of all, a lot of Canadians have family and dear friends in the United States. I mean, more than acquaintances, really close friends, people that they would go and vacation with. And so there are a lot of Canadians with ties to Americans. And the second thing we discovered is how difficult it was for many of them to deal with Americans because of Trump and the MAGA movement. Especially they walk into a house where Fox News is on, and for a lot of Canadians, they kind of see that, not all, but CBC. A lot, and it seems like an alternate version of reality. And so now we have the trade war. Now we have elbows up. Now we have the Canadians who are still steadfastly trying their best to not buy American. And so what's that like? And it's summertime, right? So this is the time when a lot of people would have been visiting the United States, or maybe in some cases still are. So we're looking forward to hearing from people on what those relationships are like, how they're navigating them, and the conversations that.
All right. So, Ian
there's a good video should play right after that. Let's show one of those Canadians. Let's show Mike Myers talking about how great it is with his elbows up about Canada. You know,
have you got that clip, Sue?
yeah, she put it up there. Yeah, it's
right.
him talking about how, you know, this was Mr. Elbows Up, what Ian was just talking about.
Okay, Mike Myers gets emotional about being American, nearly in tears. He says becoming American means everything to him. Meanwhile, Carney's team hires him for the cringe fake hockey rink stunt without checking Myers' background about being a proud American. Let's hear how he gets on.
I love Washington, D.C. I mean, oh my God.
Fascinating.
It's a great
I'm an American citizen now, gratefully so. I gave him a speech about what a great country this is and what a privilege it is to be in this country. Some pretty strong ideals that my British parents, growing up in Canada, and my now American citizenship stand for. I don't take it lightly at all. It's a very, very important thing to me. I love Washington, D.C. I mean, oh my God.
Fascinating.
It's a great
I'm an American citizen now, gratefully so.
All right. So he was the poster boy with doing the hockey, hey, I'm Canadian, all this bullshit. Kind of when it's convenient, right? To people like this, all right? Wow. Okay, Blake, what's your take on the CBC report? A very
propaganda. It's pure propaganda. That's all it is. I mean, they're trying to stoke division. These guys are propagandists for the government. They want to create this idea within the population to stir up these fights between your own family, or don't go, or you're shamed for going, because he kind of put a secondary spin on that. Those aren't going, and those that still may be going, how dare you kind of point. But yeah, he's trying to stoke division. I don't find it difficult. I've got American family. I got American friends down there. They're very close, especially within the industry I work, which is primarily dominated by U.S. Owners. And essentially, it's great. I mean, this relationships transcend the stupidity of Canadian propagandist broadcasters like the Communist Broadcasting Corporation of Canada. I can't believe them, but this is the same group of propagandists that will say, hey, let's be buddy with China, though, you know, and that's the, you know, the latest story come out. They're all part of the same thing, but they are trying to keep the flame stoked, because I do believe at some point they're going to try and force through a early election in Canada to try and get a majority government. I think that's a risk here.
Here's my take on what CBC is doing. First of all, they make a massive assumption that they talk all nice. We're all closely tied to America. My own sister is an American citizen, lives in Aspen, Colorado, a blue state, a blue city, and I got my aunts, my uncles were all born in the U.S. I've got aunts and uncles that are in the U.S. I've got cousins all over the U.S. I mean, my grandfather was born in Spokane. It's insane. My mom was the only one in her family actually born in Canada. So I have a lot of contact, a lot of relations with family in the States. But the thing they're assuming is that the Canadian they're talking to, you go in, you watch Fox. What about my going into Blue State sister's place and she's got CNN on? What about the fact in Canada, CNN comes bundled with your TV package?
Yeah.
And you got to go out of your own coin purse to go reach out and get Fox if you're interested in getting it. I'm not even a fan of Fox, so I wouldn't pay for it. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't even seek it. Watch
they're kind of making it like a fearful thing to get into someone's house that's watching Fox News.
Well, yeah, that's the radicalization. That's where you get on the last program we did on Friday, we had that fucking non-binary moron, that fucking RCMP retard, talking about saying that traditional values are extreme. You know, oh, I'm sorry, I held the door open for you. You know, what's extreme? Should I burn the flag for you so you're fucking happy? No, I have no time for it. I have no patience for it whatsoever. But Blake's absolutely right. It's propaganda. But the assumption that the average Canadian doesn't like Fox, or the assumption that the average, and I don't know if that's even true. for the average CBC viewer whose viewership is in the tank and represents a minority of Canadians and a sharply skewed demographic that seem to be watching CBC. And they're my age and older. They're the 65 age crowd. Everybody else is on social media getting their news.
Well, this is a classic example of how corrupt the Canadian broadcasting systems are through the CRTC. The CTV News, which is also a globalist news network, and they literally call it global, is part of their network. I mean, that's just how bad it is. Their newspapers are all allied. The state broadcasters allied. They basically share the same editorial board. But how bad it got is a number of years ago. Do you remember Sun News created their own television network?
Yeah.
And Ezra Levant was on it, I believe, and there was quite a few people from the
Brian Lilly, maybe.
Brian Lilly, I think he was on there. They had tried to start a news network, and instead of being put with the rest of the pack of the Canadian media channels, like on the lower channel band, which would be channel 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever, down on the lower ones, pre-packaged with your Shaw or Bell Media, Global, the cable networks back then, they stuck them up at
300.
It was like way up there. And two, you had to get it on your tier 2 or tier 3 package. And they complained about that. And they were legitimately complaining, saying, well, we're a Canadian news network. We're Sun News Network or newspapers was a legitimate, the Thompson newsprint empire, which is very on I would call it the conservative side of the fence of news on their editorial side. But the fact is that they literally conspired to shut them down so we wouldn't have a secondary cable news network in Canada that wasn't going to be controlled by their apparatus. And that's just how bad the CRTC is. The CRTC is what's the equivalent in the US? What do they call it down there? The FCC?
FCC,
Yeah. So essentially, but ours is worse because they literally also cover Canadian content. You have to produce a certain percentage of your material has to be Canadian content, affects radio stations, music, everybody. But in this case, this was a deliberate move to prevent Sun News from having a competitor against the establishment party news networks in Canada.
Here, this is interesting. Change the topic. Just another Canadian story. We're always keeping an eye on this whole residential school, and there's some people really invested in this because they're facing financial ruin. They're being censored. They've lost employment. They've been kicked out of jobs. They're being vilified. There's threats of criminality. There's a real system, a real machine going up against these people. This came across, it's a jaw dropper. It's unbelievable. Talk about the residential school crisis. There's supposed to be a bunch of dead kids. Underneath, they've got the little flowers and the graves here, right? The knowledge keepers, which are what the natives, the First Nations people reference themselves, their elders, the knowledge keepers, have no idea that a swimming pool was once right in front of the school. No child was ever reported drowned, so they can't now say that children were drowned by sadistic nuns. All GPR ground, proofing radar found was the buried foundations of the old pool and the plumbing system outside of the school. I think this is in Kelowna, but here they are, the Indians, and they've put
is that Kamloops or Kelowna?
I mean, Kamloops. I don't, it's all interior to me. And this is from Robert, the gay conservative. You got to love it. I love it when you get people, like I'm, full disclosure, trans woman of color. You get, people like me that are generally identity politicized, thrown out on the left. And you get people like me and this gay guy just going, man, this is bullshit, right? We just, give some truth. All we want is some truth. But really, I mean, what a disaster! What a PR disaster! They're trying to paint the story of systemic genocide. It never fucking happened, man. It never happened.
I think it was planted purposely to demean and destroy Canada, so that their post-nation state crap could take over. And then all of a sudden Trump gets into power, and all of a sudden they're back draping themselves in a flag. These are the same people who hated that flag. So let's call it for what it is. These guys hated original Canada. These guys hate to the point the RCMP, with her anti-traditional values, calling it extremist. The old Canada has to pass so that we could be a post-nation state. So how do you do that? You demean it, turn it into a shame factory, that anything to do with the history of the foundations of this country is tied to genocide, thus discrediting it to its existence.
Sorry, I did, because we got 15 minutes left on this, and we still got so much to pour through. I just want to play another clip related to this. Chief Philip Stewart, UBC, there he is. You can follow him there. Union of British Columbia Indian Chiefs. Denies that he wants Dallas Brody, this lady, an MP. He doesn't want her in prison for what he calls racialized hatred, saying 0 bodies have been found at Cluck, but then states that he wants legal protections to prevent residential school denialism. Well, listen, fucker, I'm in huge denial over this bullshit. Let's hear this idiot, and it just shows you the absolute state of things.
Dallas Brody, who is the now independent MLA for the riding of Vancouver-Quilchena, spoke in question period last week, saying that the First Nations Leadership Council wants her to be imprisoned over her statements about residential schools. As a member of that council, how accurate is that statement?
It's never happened. It's absolutely.
I'm sorry, I apologize that it's quiet. It's just the feed.
Misinterpreted something that was being said?
No, I don't think so. Our statements are very carefully prepared. We have legal advice going into those public statements. Mm-hmm. So there's no mistake. It was never said.
What did the council say about Dallas Brody, if anything?
Well, the First Nations Leadership Council is extremely upset at her blatant racist promotion of residential school denialism, and it's incredibly traumatizing to residential school survivors and their families to hear this, public denying of the horrific experience that their grandparents went through and their parents went through. To have somebody in an elected position to use that as a platform to promote this type of racialized hatred.
The First Nations Leadership Council is looking.
All right. So here you got this guy say, okay, well, we don't want to throw him in jail, but we want to stop residential school denialism. Well, what do you mean by residential school? I mean that for anybody that says there were no bodies found because there were no bodies found, or that there's a pool in front of the fucking school that you forgot to mention because the knowledge keepers didn't fucking know that there was, that everybody forgot to mention. Oh, remember the old pool that we used to go in? Absolutely.
Well, he's a big NDPer, that guy. So, I mean, look at the dumpster fire behind me. This is all about the NDP. He is an NDP guy. He's been an NDP. I think he even ran to be an NDP MLA at one point. But the fact is that this is not denialism. Not one soul is saying residential schools did not exist. Correct. That is the problem here. They keep spinning it because as soon as Trudeau opened the floodgates on this, it became a massive cash cow, billions of dollars flowing to these chiefs. But the funny thing is the chiefs get a bunch of money, but most of the money goes to white, liberal, progressive lawyers and professors who are sitting there making millions off of this. So the denialism is just means shutting down the gravy train of a fake number of people, children that supposedly died in Kamloops. And that's the problem. This isn't about race. This isn't about residential schools. This is about the propagation of 250 children were supposedly genocidally murdered by the people running this school. And there's no evidence of these bodies there. It was just simply ground penetrating radar, found some anomalies under the ground. And right next to that school was another area, apparently, where was a what do you call it? Back in the day, they used to where people were dying from TB and other diseases, and where there was a body, a potter's field, you could call it, that was nearby, where they were burying lots of non-indigenous people nearby as well. So there's fields where this was happening from sickness. You had the Spanish flu.
Every culture,
yeah, Spanish flu, it didn't know any races. It just killed everybody. I think 1 in 4 or some massive.
Yeah, it was massive. That was what that. No, that's a pandemic.
That was
You want a pandemic? That's a pandemic. A third of the population went down. Here's the photo op. Trudeau did over a non-existent grave. You might as well be at a soccer field with the little teddy bear. All the pathos, absolute propaganda, absolute bullshit. There's no dead bodies where that fucker is. Nobody's buried under there. There's no kid, but it makes for a great picture, with the little teddy bear. Propaganda, pure propaganda. Yeah. Canada is just chock full of this shit. Okay, let's move along. We got so many freaking stories.
I got a couple links there. Wouldn't mind if we can hit them quick. Right at the bottom there, just above the Mike Myers link you put in there.
The dairy board? No one.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do China at the top. Here's a classic scene because we were talking about the Canadian media. They're not even hiding it anymore.
Okay.
I call it China. You'll see.
Okay, that's a good one.
This was from the Glob Mail, and this was just posted out this morning. What a pathetic mess.
Okay, Glob Mail says, opinion, let's free ourselves from the U.S. and forge closer ties with China.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Tell them who the Glob Mail is. Our American friends, tell them what the
Glob Mail would be like the equivalent of the New York Times in Canada. It is a national Washington Post. It is a national newspaper. It's been around forever. It's supposed to be the steady center of Canada. This is the ridiculousness of how far these people have gone. They're to the point because we know that there has been reports of foreign influence at a high level through our politicians. By CSIS has stated this from China, and here they're just coming out. But you got to remember, these are controlled media sources. These are stories that are built to start to sway opinion. So they're trying to say China is our friend. Listen to what they're saying. They want us to be allied with corrupt, autocratic, authoritarian regimes that have murdered millions of people. Yeah, commies. So my point on response was that we should never do business with communists, period. Not Cuba, not anywhere, because they murder people, they incarcerate people for what they believe, and those, freedom.
Well, hold on. Democrats do that too, though.
Yeah, that's true. They tried, but that got stopped. Thank God, because you have still a republic that will prevent that in the U.S. But this is Canada, a post-nation state, handing themselves the keys of Canada to the Chinese and to the EU.
Let's, here's a big story. So we'll keep an eye on that. But you're so right about that, Blake. I don't have anything further. It's absolutely ludicrous. But to break the natural ties that bind between Canada and the United States, trying to bring Europe in, it's not going to work. Trying to bring China in, it's not going to work. China. Let's do Carney's investments. What's going on with our beloved Prime Minister?
This is
Carney.
Yeah, pull that picture up if you've got it. If it's the same post with the nuclear explosion.
Okay. Well, got a different. She got a different one here.
That's good.
Yeah, Moose on the list just cracked Carney's blind vault. 583 total holdings he's got. He's got 3 of them are Canadian, 0.5% of his financial portfolio. 530 investments. 91% of his portfolio is investing in America. A 35% tariff guts Canadian jobs, while 91% of Carney's bag sits south of the border. That's not a conflict. That's the business model. So here he is all in with America, talking big about elbows up, and we're not going to deal with America. We're going to tell them what's going on. And here's our own prime minister leading the charge with this rhetoric, fully invested in the glorious, the wonderful United States. God bless the United States. And he really is blessing that nation. 2 nations saw 2 trajectories, America going like a rocket, in Canada crashing and burning at every turn. Blake, thoughts?
Well, I mean, I'm still projecting that Carney is kind of a double agent on this one. I think he's stuck in a rock and a hard place between his buddies in Europe, or the EU and the WEF, and the United States. The United States is still the most powerful country in the world, still the most powerful economy in the world. And you're playing footsies with the EU. You're playing footsies with China. You're wanting that for Canada. And this guy just proven that he's thrown all his marbles literally into the U.S. He did that prior to running as prime minister. He moved Brookfield. They moved Brookfield to New York out of Canada. They're also in Bermuda. But the fact is they had 99.7% of his investments are in the U.S. So it shows where he is investing, where he thinks the world's going. Brookfield knows it. $1 trillion asset manager, just like BlackRock, just like State Street and Vanguard. They're all moving in there. And I think, as I said, I'm not moving from my story. I think Trump's been working with those guys. That's why Trump endorsed Carney. Let's remember that. Trump endorsed Carney. Yep. And he endorsed him because he's the guy who understands finance and investment, and he knows how to get people to bring money to the table to invest in making America great again. So that's why he's doing it. So let's hope that this pillow fight about tariffs, because let's face it, the tariffs haven't really hit Canada yet, or the U.S. vice versa. They keep extending. Oh, we'll do this, we'll do that. They're playing the game. I think it's coming. I think it's going to ease Canada into the realities. We're going to be coming into an economic union with the USA. It has to happen. Even if we keep our separate countries, it's got to happen. Fortress North America has to happen. But it just shows how slimy and corrupt the media is, the whole political machine, again, that they lie to Canadians, make it look like he's some kind of Canadian hero to save us from the bad Americans. I mean, it's just bullshit.
You know what's interesting? I mean, a kind of a mental image comes of a rather effete kid coming out of his, brownstone apartment. And maybe he's got his little, he's eating his ding dong, and he's all happy, and his elbows is all up. But then the guy next door is a big blonde haired brute of a guy. And he just goes, "Give me your ding dong." Boom, boom, boom. And he wipes a little fucker out. And the guy goes, "I've got my gang." And another bunch of a little effete types, one of them, Brigitte, let's call her Brigitte, is over there a few blocks away. And Brigitte, she's kind of a burly kind of gal. But anyway, so you got this guy. They're too far away. So if you liken this to Europe and Carney's appeal to Europe, those fuckers are too far away. Trump's going to have them. Trump's right next door. He'll just grab the guy. What are your friends going to do? They'll be here in a couple of weeks. Fuck off, you brute. It'll be like it's like Michael Jackson in the Who's Fat. Leave me alone. And then he goes on. Then he goes on. Who's fat? But anyway, so this is what I'm seeing happening. And so there's no way. Trump's got all the cards. Trump holds all the cards. It's fantastic. Why is the brute blonde? Because he's Donald John Trump in a symbol, Pat. All right. It's a metaphor.
Literally what Canada is protecting is, I think one of the video links I put in there is dumping milk down the drain.
Yeah.
Millions of liters every month get dumped down the drain because of our supply management system.
It's nuts.
So to fix this whole tariff stuff would be so easy to do, and it would benefit every Canadian.
Yeah.
Cheap food, folks. Why are we allowing our system to be so expensive by allowing these supply chain controls by government edict that you're only allowed to have a certain amount of it to keep artificially prices high? And that is the problem. We would both benefit on both sides of the border having true free trade. I mean, this is maybe the final video at 12:59, but listen to this. This is pathetic. This guy's dumping 30,000 liters of milk.
Let's play the video. Let's roll the
clap. Hey guys, we're here at Give 'em Goes Farm in southern Ontario. We milk about 260 cows. Right now during the winter months, you milk quite a bit more milk because the feed is very consistent. And if you do a good job, you will produce quite a bit of milk. So, but right now we're over our quota. It's regulated by the government and by the DFO. But the problem is what they don't understand. There's millions of people. Look at this milk running away because it's the end of the month. So I have to dump. I dump 30,000 liters of milk. It breaks my heart. I will show you. By the way, this here Canadian milk, it's $7 a liter. When I go for my haircut, people say, "Wow, $7, Jerry, for a little bit of milk." I say, "Well, you have to go higher up." Because we have no say anymore as a dairy farmer on our own farm, because they make us dump it. And no matter how we stand up, so this time I'm going public. I want the people to see the pain that us growers have of 365 days. As a little boy, we grew up on a dairy farm, came from Europe, work, and here we are. This is what's happening.
Yeah, that's I mean,
that's what Elbows Up is fighting for right there. Right? Yeah. That is Elbows Up should be framed. That's what you want. Out of control food prices, out of control gas prices, out of control every aspect of our economy, cell phone charges, everything. That's what they're trying to protect in Canada. That's what Elbows Up is trying to protect. And a cartel run by a kleptocratic society of politicians that are just robbing us blind, which we should cover maybe another day, that new bombshell of all the corruption through the procurement of billions and billions is now being exposed, which is a nuke on the Liberal Party of Canada.
Now, are you going to be back tomorrow?
I might be. I should be.
Okay. I hope you're here tomorrow. If you're here tomorrow, let's do procurement. We'll talk about that, explain what that is. We'll cover that story. More on the Autopen. Obviously, this story is still breaking. Go ahead.
Also, a couple of announcements. Wednesday, we will not be here.
Yeah, Wednesday, we're not doing the show Wednesday.
Friday, we're not.
And Friday, we're not here. It's a crazy busy week for us, but we're out of town on one, and I'm on another channel on Wednesday. I've been asked to go debate. The topic is defend Trump's treating of the. I'm going to help defend the president's handling of the Epstein files. So I look forward to doing that. But that'll be on another channel. And but I want to thank Blake as always for being here. Thumbs up on the show. And subscribe if you're new around here. We do appreciate it. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. Hopefully, we'll have Blake. Hopefully.